systems are offline.
eRadio Live, powered by TCS Wi-Fi.
It is time for Tech Thursday right here on eRadio. Good afternoon and welcome. It's time for us to discuss this week's biggest tech stories and see what we have to say about it. Kaine's always got something interesting to say, and therefore we shall switch on his microphone.
Feel alive again.
How are you doing, man?
I'm doing really well, thanks, Eon. Thanks for having me on the Tech Show. It's always exciting to get into the latest tech news every week. This week I actually had a bit of trouble finding some tech news, almost as if it slowed down.
Do you think it was a slow news week?
I think it might have been a bit of a slow tech week, but there's actually a lot going on. I'm just expecting pieces of space stations to be falling out of the sky or cryptocurrency tanking.
Yeah, but we have somebody going up into space soon, I think.
Yes, we do. And we're actually even going to speak about that. There's 2 spacecraft missions happening at the moment. I'll touch on some of the topics we'll be speaking about today. So we're going to be looking at Facebook, which is set to launch their podcast feature on the 22nd of June.
Ooh,
I'm
I
sure
can't
we'll
wait.
see eRadio popping up all over the place.
Yes, how's it go? Oh, I can't wait now. Seriously, I haven't seen that story before the show today.
Yeah.
So you're going to inform me now. I haven't seen it yet. So how's that going to work? When are you telling me?
Very cool.
When are you telling us?
I'm going to tell you straight after we go over the first topics. But the interesting thing about that is they're making it so that podcasters have an advantage on Facebook. I think they've realized there's a lot of manual work going on in order to stream to all platforms. And they're working towards creating an environment which is more automated and easier for people who want to have podcasts, already have an existing podcast, to distribute that information and that news.
You know, with us also, I'm finding the problem at the moment is when you share it, they kind of give they kind of bump up posts that are videos more or just normal links and whatever. But videos, they really like giving videos the advantage.
And it's very hard for business on Facebook. Facebook's priority is personal to personal.
Yeah.
So they would prefer to put another person's post in front of your own business's post because it's more of a personal thing.
I read that somewhere in an article. It's actually, we forget, Facebook's actually a personal thing.
For businesses,
a social media network. Businesses, you gotta pay. Yeah. But I'm finding with podcasts, you have to kind of upload your audio as a video, obviously.
That could work as well.
Yeah, but even that's not really working for podcasters.
No.
I don't know why, unless you can see the people, but just uploading the audio on its own, it's not kind of working. I don't know.
The interesting thing, if you were to put it on video, is if you know what does really well on Facebook is you got to remember that a lot of people are listening to a video without audio before they turn the audio on. So captions and things like that throughout your video to caption or subtitle what is actually being spoken in an audio fashion visually, that also does really well, but we'll get onto that soon for sure. Next, Facebook also updating VR ads. Okay, so imagine being in a VR game.
Virtual reality.
Yeah, you're in a virtual environment and some ad is exposed to you and you can either interact with it or we'll touch on how cool it could be.
Okay.
Speaking of space, China is launching their first high-stakes crewed mission to space. You must hear what they're living in, that thing. That's smaller than your house.
That was somewhere in the news earlier this week. I saw that somewhere.
And they're carrying one of the oldest astronauts to go into space. I think he's 48 or 52, we'll see now.
Okay.
Jeff Bezos also heading into space in his own rocket.
No surprise.
And there's a seat available. If you want to go with him. I'll tell you the
it's
price
tag cost you a lot. It could cost you
like
life.
Going to the store and getting a Coke or taking an Uber. And it's only 10 minutes. Okay. Then we're taking a look at NFTs, non-fungible tokens. This is a cryptocurrency or a crypto-related topic, and it's got to do with digital content that cannot be duplicated. An ever-seen problem in today's age. If anyone knows about torrenting or peer-to-peer file sharing, it's very difficult for developers, movie creators, software engineers to secure the access to that application. So a lot of the time, these tools and softwares are freely available. Even today you can go online and get a free version of Photoshop, which should cost you $50 a month.
Oh, you can.
You absolutely can, and that's the biggest problem.
Crack.
Exactly, it's the biggest problem with digital content. If you were to read an article, you could copy the entire article and go paste it somewhere else and have the exact same content. Or if you had a movie on your computer, you could just copy it and paste it onto a hard drive and give it to a friend. There's no security around digital content, and that's what NFTs are solving.
Okay, I just want to say, Chris, my brother who manages the website, we know him as Chris, he actually installed a tool that people can't copy our articles.
That's very important in today's age. A lot of websites even take away the ability to copy, to just select.
You can't. Or
even save an image.
You can't. It says, and then you get a pop-up saying it's protected. Almost like, hey, caught you.
You have to have that in every website where content shouldn't be duplicated or should be, protected by intellectual property rights. But people can do what they want. If someone goes and copies all of your content or remakes your video, there's only one way to solve it. You're not going to push a button and delete all the copies. You're going to have to take them to court. You have to find out all the places they distributed it to, who received it. You have to follow up with all of those people. It becomes a massive, massive ordeal. And what torrenting is, it's the ability to pull files, one file from 10 different people's computer at once.
That's it, yeah.
And it becomes
seeding,
impossible.
Hey?
Exactly.
You call it seeding.
Yeah, if you're downloading, it's leeching.
How did I know that? Am I secretly torrenting as we speak? No, I've had my torrenting days. Not anymore, but I've had it before.
But it all started with LimeWire. I don't know if you ever remember that.
Yep. I remember the logo,
Yeah, that's how you get viruses. You go out there.
Yeah, that was a virus hub.
You didn't survive there without an antivirus.
If your computer survived LimeWire, you have a really good system.
Then China changing the game. Okay, they're putting AI cameras into their offices that only let in smiling workers.
Oh, so if you've
had a bad day,
what happens?
Ate the wrong meal.
What happens then?
No access. Sorry.
Well, then you're going to be even more angry.
Too sad. Turn away.
Then you're going to be more sad.
Get an off day. Sort your personality out. So let's take a look at this, right? What do you have for us, Eon?
Well, I want to talk about a few things. I want to talk about technology at the moment, how it's being used by universities. Because, I personally know from my cousin who is at uni at the moment, and they can't attend physical classes. And she shows me the amazing technology they're using nowadays to get their lectures, to hand in their essays or projects. I think that's so interesting, the way they do it now. Yeah, and it's all synced,
Wow.
Like you have a virtual classroom. It's almost like Zoom. I think they do it on Microsoft Teams.
Oh,
Is that what they call it? And then you can see all the children sitting in the class. Like in the little blocks, you can see all of them, the teacher speaking. And then she mutes all the children. I mean, you can't do that in real life. You can't mute all the children in real life. So that's so cool. Yeah, it's actually working quite well.
Or something. That's interesting.
Yeah, but you need a good internet connection.
Yeah, and I saw on Zoom even they have, if you are in a group call with a bunch of people and you're the host of the call, and someone decides to mute their mic, you can politely request that they unmute their mic.
Yeah.
It's a good way to keep people's attention there on the subject. I think it could definitely work, giving kids the freedom of having their own room and their own house and their own environment in which to feel comfortable, not affected by classmates, colleagues.
But it's so important nowadays because of the virus. I mean, look at the numbers going up. It's so important. Just stay home and instead of going to the university and getting the virus, taking it back to your parents who
couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
No, it's the future really. And digital learning has always been something, but now I feel like it's being brought into the mainstream much more. I mean, between 2012 and 2018. Many people learned online, but not necessarily through a digital course, but through digital information being available. People were able to go and educate themselves. So it's basically professionalizing the online learning experience.
And then also there's a new app. It turns you into a Disney character. I don't know if you've seen it. It's all over my feed. I'm too scared to do it.
You might come out as.
Yeah, it's gonna look really bad. Then we're gonna look at the most expensive products on Takealot. You won't believe it.
Really?
You just won't believe it. Also, there's a new privacy law in South Africa. You can get into trouble. And then Windows 10. I thought it was just going to be a Windows 10 update, but it really looks like they're now looking at Windows 11, eh? I was joking about it last week, but now it looks like they're not too sure about the name yet. Could be Windows 10.1 or Windows 13. You know how they like to skip numbers.
I strongly dislike Windows 10.
Well,
I love Windows 7.
Hopefully you'll like Windows 11.
I don't
Or
doubt
13, whatever.
I have my doubts. Have you ever purchased a legitimate version of Windows, or do you only get it through the devices you buy it from?
Yeah, the devices.
I've never been to a store and was
Well,
like,
you actually buy Windows. No, man. Oh, come on, no. Who does that? People still do that anyway. And then also, SABC, they want to add their TV license fees to DSTV's fees. So, but DSTV is saying, no, you can't.
Say that again?
So, SABC, they want their TV license fee included into the DSTV subscription fee.
It didn't make any sense the second time around. Why would that be a good idea for them?
So they said no.
Like,
look, even your brain can't process it, so obviously it's not a good idea.
Like two completely individual things that are like, no, man, that's not going to work.
But I just want to start off quickly by saying I saw a video of Mark Zuckerberg, being questioned by some senator in the United States. And he was talking to him and asking him all kinds of questions about Facebook and its privacy and spying policies and whatever. And I really, just looking at that interview, it's almost an hour, I really, really think Mark Zuckerberg is a robot. There's absolutely, you should see that. It's crazy. There's no emotion. It's just, he's so robotic.
He's probably having a heart attack right there.
But he's not showing it. He's not sweating.
80% of his brain power is going to not peeing himself.
He went a bit red at one stage, I must say.
At least there's blood flow.
Yeah, but somebody actually commented and said, wow, technology is amazing. He's so human-like, eh? But I agree. It is so his movements, everything, the way he's blinking.
It's almost like it's rehearsed.
Yeah.
Like pre the time.
Yeah, could he be a robot?
What a question.
I'm really considering it.
Like the fact that it might be a reality is concerning.
Yeah, he could be a robot. Seriously.
Well, have you ever had a chat with the guy? No, I've never spoken to Mark to determine if he's like got a personality.
No, but you can't see it anywhere. I've never seen him laughing.
No.
Well, maybe he's just being professional.
He tugged a smile once in court.
Oh, okay.
But he sits there like he's kind of very uncomfortable.
And also, shame. Maybe, shame. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he's got like anxiety and all that kind of stuff. You know, it is not nice to sit there and people are questioning you and being rude to you.
What I think about is if the government doesn't know what tracking is in place for Facebook, what personal information is available, what information is being used. If they don't know, okay, who does know? Only Facebook knows what they're doing. So if there is anything untoward going on, he is very nervous.
Yeah,
because it means like every person
it looks like
in
he
America,
knows something.
It's like there must be something there.
It looks like he knows something.
I'm going to answer everything right, but don't ask me about this.
Yeah, and then this guy's asking him yes or no, and he can't answer him. He says, "I'll get back to you."
Yeah, I mean, you go to court and be asked if you committed a crime, and be like,
"I'll get back to you."
I'll get back to you. It's a yes or no question. Just I need time to process the question.
Yeah, no, something's not right there. I'm serious, hey? Something's not right there.
You called it. We'll have to come back to this if there's ever something viral that happens.
Yes, and then I did something really weird last night that I want to tell you about.
What?
I couldn't sleep, so at 3 a.m. I was removing dead people from my Facebook page.
Oh no!
Yeah, that was kind of weird. How do you feel about that? Do you still keep the people on?
It's such an interesting question. I think I thought about it well because obviously some of my friends have passed away and still been on Facebook, and a lot of people use it to like bring back like on the anniversaries of their passing and their birthdays and stuff like that. There's a lot of information. It's also a bit of a historical document of your life.
Yeah, you're right.
But on the same level, we saw with some of the Trump election fiasco that they saw people who had passed away casting votes.
Oh my word.
To make a vote. And that, I mean, that is where like it gets a little bit dodgy, because if you have 150 million people cast a vote, you're not going to be able to easily identify who's passed away. Facebook doesn't have a button that I know of that you can go on and be like, deactivate my account. The owner of the account is no longer alive, so it just stays dormant.
Legacy contact, you know about it?
No.
You can nominate a legacy contact, and then I don't know how the heck they know, okay, but your legacy contact will be informed. So your legacy contact has to inform Facebook that you have in fact passed, and I don't know if they must present a death certificate.
Or something.
And then Facebook will say remembering. Have you seen that before on profiles? Remembering, and then your name. And then you can go back and see the messages. But a lot of people don't have that. So they didn't set up a legacy contact. And also, I think their password was too strong, so their family couldn't crack it, so they can't get back in. So that profile is just going to be there forever.
It's a very interesting question. Like on my dad passed away, and I went onto his phone and I started Telegram. And I just wanted to see if he had an account on Telegram. What does it do? It messages every single person in his contact list that this person has joined Telegram.
Oh no!
So can you imagine? That's not good. Like, that should be something you could choose whether to do or not to do.
Oh no, Kaine, that's so bad. That's very unfortunate.
Yeah, my brother messaged me.
People are probably freaking out.
Something happened, yeah. Have I missed like a celestial activity or something? Like,
I didn't know you could access it from heaven or wherever.
Yeah, like, there's a server there. What?
Sure, that's a crazy story actually.
So we got it is something that actually has to be considered, because you live between 60 and hopefully 100 plus years. What happens after 300 years if you still have a digital identity? It's an interesting question to pose.
Should be added in your will or something. You'll put your password in your will or something, and then
We're not pause like all charity posts. It's like one request.
yeah, or just kind of upload a video that's released that the people can release as soon as you die, saying goodbye or something. I don't know. Might be freaky. I don't know. Maybe it's better that you just pass away and you don't leave any videos and stuff.
Yeah,
could get freaky actually.
It could definitely, and freak a lot of people out. It's an emotional, weak, touchy subject when you're talking about death and anything on Facebook. To have something pop up onto your feed reminding you of that could be a negative in some lights. But speaking of Facebook, they're going to launch their podcast feature on the 22nd of June. And according to an email sent to podcast page owners and viewed by The Verge, people can link their show's RSS feed up to Facebook, which will then automatically generate newsfeed posts for all episodes published moving forward. So you have on your website obviously an active podcast. Everything you post onto your website can be included in a RSS feed.
Oh, yeah.
And then you link that RSS feed with Facebook. And what happens is when you go live, a message can be put out. Potentially 2 hours before you go live, an automated message can go out. Once you finish going live, a summarized version of the podcast could probably be sent out. This is probably some of the functionality they would have in place, but I'm sure you, as someone who manages a degree of social distribution, it will save you time.
Yes, it will, and we must test it.
We must.
Let's test it next week, because you said the 22nd, right?
The 22nd of
So
June.
next week, when we go live with Tech Thursday, will be the 24th.
Yeah.
So then we'll have it already. We will be able to use it, right?
Exactly.
So
we'll be able to give it a try.
Test, right?
It'll be really good, and I think it's the most challenging part about managing a Facebook thing when you have something as significant as going live, but you don't necessarily have the support team in place to act as your social community management team or your tech team or your design team. It's very hard to curate content, to be ready and to be posted at the right time while you're preparing to go live and do all of the show.
It's a lot of work, let me tell you.
It's a lot. And planning.
You know it, yeah.
It takes time.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that time is very valuable to the quality of the product that you're producing, which is being shared. So you can't
really
take away from the product.
You get it.
To share it. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And speaking of Facebook making changes, they're going to start testing ads in their Oculus mobile app to give developers a new way to showcase their VR applications. So they said, we are excited to share a look at the next phase of that exploration, a small test of in-headset ads, the social network said. So they've partnered with a group of developers to develop ads of a VR nature to to deploy into existing VR applications.
Sure.
And they're currently, there's a test with a few apps. Facebook said it will provide more details on when ads may become more broadly available across the Oculus platform and in the Oculus mobile app. The addition of ads on the Oculus platform doesn't change their privacy policy or advertising policy. We did not use information processed and stored locally on your headset to target ads, etc., etc., etc. They're trying to make it sound like, they're not taking personal information and stuff like that. But one of my friends actually has a VR Oculus headset, and he says the gaming experience is significantly better while you're operating on the Oculus. Obviously, you can't go play Pac-Man in VR and be like, this is quality. It won't be the same. But to go play something that is a very explorative game, or a very visually stimulating game, or even just put you in the driver's seat of your favorite character or your favorite movie star, or to put that into a VR perspective, it changes the way that you react and you experience the content. And when it comes to advertising, what you want to do is create an emotional reaction. You want to create some kind of sustainable kind of emotion, or create some sort of connection between the content and the viewer, and make it relevant to them. And when you can do that in VR, imagine playing one of your favorite games and you walk past a radio, and the radio is audioly tuning some stuff about ads, and at the same time you turn around and there's a person there to explain the ad to you. It could be an immense array of things. You could go and sit in a car for the first time and try out the car, and that could be a sales pitch from a mobile car company trying to sell you a car, giving you the experience to be in the car, hear the car, see the car, and then we're working towards stuff with I can't remember what the exact name is, but it's something feedback. It's like heretic feedback or something like that, and you see it in the new PS5 controllers. What will happen is you in one of the buttons on the controller, there'll be there'll be like feedback on it. So if you are in the game and you're holding a gun and you're going to shoot the gun,
it's going to shake.
You're going to feel it's tight. The button will be hard to pull, then go click, and it will then fire the gun, and it will fire back up. And if you have an automatic weapon, it's going to do all of those things.
Word. It's going to feel like the real thing.
And imagine having a glove or a bodysuit on, which could replicate things like, being hit, or sitting, or feeling something warm, or feeling something cold.
This is a bit freaky, Kaine.
Yeah, and it's here. It's what's in development. You already get those things that you can strap yourself into and run in place. So you can feel like you're in the game, running for real. And there's some really cool videos on YouTube. Anyone who hasn't seen VR in action, go take a look at YouTube and go there's this game called where you have a lightsaber and you hitting things according to the beat, and it's very immersive and 3D and very interesting. And then you get other games, which is Boneworks, which is a game where you can actually pick up a gun, throw the gun in the air, you have to reload the gun, you have to do everything yourself. You can even fumble and drop it. So VR is going to be a much more immersive experience, and from an advertiser's perspective, it's exciting to not only be able to develop ads that could really change the way that someone experiences that ad, but as a business, if you are selling an experience, you're selling an emotion, maybe you are selling property in Thailand, or whatever you're doing, you have the ability to create a much more immersive experience. You can't, if you are renting a house in Airbnb, when you're looking through Airbnb listings, there's no immersion there. It's not the same as being in the house physically. And it's that step towards it. I think it's quite exciting, but I think there's a lot more hurdles to jump over to make it something that any business of any business type can create an ad and make it immersive and have it the same quality. It's not like you can hire a designer to quickly put together a 1080p image for you, and then you go and run that ad.
But Kaine, you probably won't recommend VR to somebody who already suffers from hallucinations. Can you imagine? No, man.
I read an interesting story about this one guy. There's a game called Minecraft. And the interesting thing about Minecraft is it's not, if you're looking now, you would say you have 2020 HD, 4K vision. That's if you were to relate it to a high def video, you would say you have 4K vision. It's very clear, it's very vibrant and saturated, and a lot of contrast and all of that. But in something like a game where the resolution is lower, the quality is lower, you're not dealing with 4K, you're kind of dealing with like 480p, you're not dealing with, extremely vivid imagery, you're kind of dulling it down. You would think that being in that VR world would be very boring. But this one guy played it for a week straight. He only wore the headset because you get VR and AR, which is augmented reality. So where a VR headset you can actually see what's behind the headset and interact with digital items all around you. So he lived on the VR headset for a week, and he said after 2 or 3 days he didn't feel like he was in a game anymore. He was used to
I think his brain kind of
it said this is life, this is how you see, this is what adjusted to it completely.
And when he removed it after that week,
he said it was overwhelming. He was nauseated, dizzy,
and he probably still saw all the people and all the stuff in real life.
Imagine, I mean, what if I would definitely want to try it just to see what it's like.
That's trippy, man.
But what do you have for us next, Eon?
Well, next, I don't even know where to start. Just quickly, Stellenbosch, and as I mentioned earlier, Stellenbosch, the universities, they have no choice but to get everything virtually now. So, as I said to you, did I say it on air or off air about Microsoft Teams?
I think you said it on air.
Oh, I can't even remember. Yes. They kind of, Microsoft Teams, they don't do it on, what's the other thing called? Zoom. They're not Zooming.
It's all Microsoft
They're not
Teams.
Zooming, yeah. And it's just amazing. They showed me, like, it's a virtual classroom. All the kids are there in the little blocks,
Incredible.
And they're all learning, like the main videos in the middle, the lecture. And then you can submit your stuff like that digitally. It checks your stuff for plagiarism, whether you copied your essay from somebody else
it's like
or
a very
off the
strict,
internet.
Clever teacher.
Yeah. It is just, I don't know, maybe, people are probably used to it by now, but I want to get a student to tell us more about it in detail. Just making life so much easier. Because right now they still want the kids to go back and write a test or two in person, but the kids don't want to. They're afraid of the virus. The numbers are skyrocketing.
Yeah.
So they, do it virtually. People are, I think they also gave out data to the children.
Really?
So that they can have decent internet,
That's crazy.
But I think if you can go to Stellenbosch University, you should be able to afford decent internet, hey?
I would hope so, because what do you do when you go finish university and go back home to your poor internet connection? You're not going to, what are you going to research?
Yeah, but listen, that was just incredible, I think people are so used to it by now, but for me it was incredible how you can create these classrooms, have your teacher in the middle, and everybody's doing their own thing, but you're in the classroom.
I wonder if, because everybody in the chat at a university will be like at least over 19, right?
Yeah.
So imagine now you have your classroom virtual lesson, and then you go out and you do your virtual partying. You got to be behind the computer dancing.
I'm sure that's
virtual
a thing.
DJ.
Yeah, virtual. Maybe that's a thing. I don't know. What I do know is a thing at the moment is people are using this new app. It takes your profile picture or whatever picture you choose on Facebook, and it creates like a cartoon character. So you become a Disney or a Pixar character. I'll show you an example.
Didn't
here.
iPhone have that one thing where you can create your own emoji?
It's crazy, man. It's like, look here, that's just an example.
Oh wow!
So
it's actually
it really
very
looks
realistic.
like it really looks like you are a cartoon character. It is called. It's like hand-drawn caricatures, and it's called the Voila Al Artist. Is it French?
I wonder.
The app is very heavy on the adverts, by the way. So lots of ads popping up, but there is a paid for subscription to avoid them. Otherwise, just stick around with the ads, because you can get your cartoon there. Eventually, they'll give you your cartoon.
I wonder how much you could do with your cartoon. Do you just get an image back, or do you have a character which you can?
It looks like it just literally takes your image and even the background, and it just kind of changes you into a cartoon character. But that's it. It doesn't move. Not yet. Not that I know of.
I saw another app. It was actually advertised to me. I think it was on TikTok, where you upload a picture of your face, much the same as you do that, but it doesn't turn you into a Disney character. It puts you in any famous movie you want. So you could be Iron Man, like it would be your face Not bad. It's not badly done either.
Does it
looks
look
pretty
realistic?
legitimate.
Is it?
I checked with a few different people, and some people look really legitimate, but other people just look like a very sick version of Tony Stark. Like he doesn't look well.
Yeah.
So I think there's still some kinks to work out, but that's interesting, eh?
It is. And I mean, we already have these apps. There's this app that makes you dance, and you can upload your dead grandfather and he will dance for you. And also there's one that ages you, so you can see what you're going to look like in 50 years, all that kind of stuff.
That seems like a good way to disappoint yourself. Eh?
It's shocking.
It's shocking.
You don't even want to see mine. I'll show you one day. I don't want to get old anymore, okay?
Give me the app that makes me look young.
Yes.
Show me what I look like at 15.
Yeah. I don't want to get old after I saw that. It looks like somebody famous, but I won't say that. I won't say who, but it just really doesn't look good.
As long as it's not Leon Schuster, you're fine.
No, but it is a South African.
Oh, really? It stuck the nationality at least.
Yes. Kaine, what have you got?
China is set to launch a high-stakes crewed mission to space. Now, China has always been a little bit following slightly behind NASA, who's been slightly followed behind by SpaceX. And China will send 3 astronauts into orbit on Thursday, today. Okay.
Oh, it's today, yes.
Yes. The first of 4 crewed space flights to complete the country's space station by the end of next year. So, putting it into perspective, they're going into space. It's a 4-man mission. One of the guys is one of the oldest astronauts to ever go into space. They're going to live in listen to this. Listen to the size of their new home in space. It's a 16.6 meter long and 4.2 meter wide piece of tech that orbits, and that's the first part of their space station. The next mission that they go up, they'll add to that space station. So these oaks are going to be living in a 16 by 4 meter cylinder for up to 3 months, which is one of the longest space flights for China astronauts. They're going to be there for the longest amount of time. They will launch Nai Hashing, Liu Buming, and Tang Hongbo into orbit around the spacecraft Shenzhou at 9:22 a.m. or 3 a.m. South Africa time on 17 June. So they've already actually initiated that flight. They've probably already got the results if it was successful. The oldest guy is 56 years old. His name is Ni. He's a former Air Force pilot, and he's the oldest Chinese astronaut to go into space. Shenzhou 12, meaning Divine Vessel, is the third of 11 missions needed to build China's space station. Construction began in April with the launch of Taihe, the first and largest of the 3 modules. The Shenzhou 12 crew are to live on the Tani, which means harmony of the heavens, for 3 months.
Yeah.
And will be the longest of any Chinese astronauts in space. And one focus will be seeing how the men handle their relatively long time in orbit. The mission is longer this time, and not only do we have to set up the core module, which will be their home in space, they also have to carry out a series of pivotal tests. This mission is more dangerous and challenging than ever before. And it's quite an interesting, it's quite interesting to think, sure, these oaks are going to now build a space station in space, which will put us at 2 international space stations. And then, which we'll touch on shortly, we're not going to actually speak about it today, but I'm sure we'll speak about it soon. Starlink has launched into their first phase. I think they are launching up to 12,000 of their own satellites into orbit that will provide internet to people. And the first people, they've launched about 1,000 satellites already, and there's already a few current subscribers, specifically in the EU region, UK, that kind of area. These are the first 10,000 people to be testing it. But here's the real challenge that I foresee happening in the future. Space is dangerous when it comes to what's orbiting around the Earth because it's weightless and it's moving very, very fast. I watched one of SpaceX's rockets launch into space, and it was going like 15,000 miles an hour at one point while orbiting. Like, that's not slow. Now you have a collision. something collides. First of all, anything that collides at like 16,000 kilometers an hour is just going to rip apart.
Yeah.
It's not going to like break into two pieces like breaking a piece of wood. No. It's going to explode. It's going to be devastating.
Yes.
And all of that shrapnel also starts orbiting the Earth at 16,000 or whatever the projectile speed is.
Yeah.
Now, that stuff's orbiting and you're orbiting. If that collides with you, you wrecked.
Yeah.
You
even
absolutely
if it's a small
wrecked.
piece, yeah.
So if any of the Starlink satellites might collide with something, if any of the space stations might collide with something, if any of the equipment that they use to get to the space station collides with anything, you have this massive chain reaction. And the most devastating part is if this, let's say it's very bad, one thing hits into another thing, they break up. Those things hit into another thing, they break up. And so everything hits into everything.
It's a hectic chain reaction.
You have a cloud of debris all around Earth. It's no longer possible to go into space.
So that's possible to happen.
It's 100% possible.
Okay, but
and that debris will fall back onto Earth.
Yeah,
so whatever doesn't
got
burn
something
up
else
in the atmosphere,
coming back to
like,
Earth
oh,
again.
It's raining. Oh wait, no, it's screws falling out of the sky. Like this monitor just falls and lands next to you.
Jeez, man.
You don't know what could happen, but they have to be careful about it. There's a lot of planning and precision that has to happen, and already because there are so many satellites, you can actually go online and get a live feed of satellites. You'll be truly astonished at how many satellites there are, but it makes it very difficult to launch into space.
Yeah. Imagine Kaine, I've got no internet. What's going on? Oh no, they just blew up the satellite.
Everything's gone. All the it's scary, but there is hope for if we can get out of the Earth, there is something to be hopeful about. Some scientists have checked, especially with the Perseverance rover, Ingenuity helicopter, all of that stuff on Mars. They've conducted some tests and they found that human sperm can survive there for up to 200 years.
Good heavens.
So if we can get there, we might be able to stay there. Getting back
in what form?
Oh, you know what? Based on that thing, I read that they did some studies on mice, and they specifically wanted to look at DNA damage that is caused by the radiation in space. The DNA basically dictates the formation, so to speak, of all the cells in your body. How they run, how they operate, what enzymes they produce, how they arrange themselves, their polar negative charges. All of that stuff is dictated by DNA. If you were to damage that DNA, then in the reproduction process there's going to be significant issues. Humans are like 98% similar. It's the 2% that differentiates all of us. So if you can damage DNA 20%, 50%, it's absolutely detrimental. But what they found by testing mice in space is that based on their test, the mice didn't actually receive any dangerous levels of DNA damage. They were still able to reproduce successfully on a curve. Obviously there were the exceptions to the study, but in general DNA wasn't damaged while in space, and that's very hopeful for human space travel.
I feel sorry if you're a mouse. They always test stuff on you. Why?
A mouse is born is like, damn it, I'm here. No.
I really hope I don't come back as one.
What did you do wrong to come back
Exactly.
as a mouse?
Listen, the next story is so interesting. My Broadband published it a couple of days ago. According to search results on Takealot, the most expensive thing you can buy on Takealot. I want to see a screenshot of it. I actually haven't seen one yet to believe it. But anyway, the most expensive thing you can buy on Takealot is a set of 5 drawings by former President Nelson Mandela. But you won't believe the price. They're actually giving you a 24% discount, but it's not. You have to sell your house, okay? The price is 450k
for one thing.
450,000 rand. I think that's the whole set. But its regular price tag was 595,000 rand. 595,000 rand. How do you even pay for that with your credit card on Takealot?
Like,
It's too
do you
risky.
get a bank call to ask if you like?
I'm sure.
You authorize the transaction, then you get a
I
teller
hope
call.
so. I would hope so that you get a bank call. Otherwise, oh my gosh.
Imagine processing
Just
that
sell
refund.
part of your house here, man, for these drawings. Imagine somebody breaks into your house and steals these drawings.
It's $500,000, right? Imagine
Nah,
buying
man,
something
come
for that
on.
price.
It's too much. It's too much.
It's like buying a car off of Amazon, basically.
Yeah. No,
Do you
it's-
make it in one payment? Does that come out as a single charge? Can you get financing on it?
Yeah, they usually give you. I'll take it on. You
Pay
can
with
pay
e-bucks.
stuff off. Can you pay it off?
MobiCred. Imagine using MobiCred. They're going to hate you.
Imagine the payments on MobiCred if you use MobiCred for something like that.
I can go to the moon and back on all my Discovery miles needed to pay for that.
Yeah,
Jeepers.
literally. But anyway, just quickly, also the new privacy law in South Africa from the 1st of July, you will be breaking the law if you post a picture of someone without their consent, even if it's your own selfie but has other people in it. They need to be blurred or cropped out if you do not have their consent.
Who passed that?
The Protection of Personal Information Act, POPIA.
Do they think everyone is just a media agency? Like, no one can just go blur faces on images. It's not like a quick thing. It's like it requires work.
I think we're going to see a lot of bad Photoshop jobs.
Someone just puts
All these blobs.
black squares on the round website.
But it's going to spoil the whole photo.
It's not going to look good. And imagine someone disputes that. Like, there was a verbal agreement that it's okay, and then they turn around and say it's not okay. Now, do you have to go, like, hold on, guys, let me take a selfie, but first, indemnification forms.
Please sign.
Please sign the forms.
But what if you just take a spontaneous photo in the waterfront and then you've got all these people in the background? How do you trace them?
You can't.
Now you
blur
can't
them.
post your selfie because these people in the background, they can sue you.
No, you know what they're going to do? They're just going to stop tagging on Facebook. If you don't know about it, can't hurt me.
Yeah, but I suppose the masks will also kind of protect the people's identity in a way because you can't see their full face nowadays. You kind of just see the eyes nowadays and the hair, unless you have really distinctive hair.
A friend of mine actually had a very interesting discussion with me. He has a daughter, and he hasn't put any photos of his daughter online. Not on Facebook, not on Instagram, not on profile photos, nothing. And their belief is that you have a right to whether you are publicly indexed, so to speak. You have a right to whether or not you want to be someone who is known socially or not. And it's quite interesting if you're a child, because that's not something you really have a choice over. But it is obviously where privacy is going in the future. I mean, you know, you need to have permission for this stuff. A viral video can make or break you. If it's viral bad and you didn't give permission for that video, it could really do some damage.
I think we just encountered a plot twist on the WhatsApp line. Somebody's saying, I recently spoke to two attorneys to get clarity, and they both say it's okay to take it and share the pics in private capacity. But if you're a social media influencer who shares pics, that's considered to be commercial, and then you need to get permission. Okay. So that's a lot like
what
videos, isn't it?
differentiates an influencer from a person? Because a person can be very popular and de facto become an influencer.
All I know is I'm safe with my 10 followers on Instagram.
You have
share the
follower
pictures.
quota. Like, sorry guys, I have 5 more places for my followers. Who wants it?
Yo, but anyway, that's interesting. That's kicking in on the 1st of July. So that's just around the corner. Keep checking your pictures before then.
Are below 18. You know, some influencers are 15-year-olds. These 15-year-olds do not have the capacity to understand these laws, and they do not have the budget to hire someone in their up-and-coming phase to manage this.
The budget, yeah.
If every influencer needs a lawyer, we're going to have a lot more lawyers and a lot less content, because everything is going to be deteriorated. But everyone obviously has a right to whether they're on a public feed. Maybe there's levels of discretion that can be taken, you know, as to what actually dictates someone without permission has been posted online, because you could literally pass there. If you're taking a video as a blogger, you could do 1 360 in the whole video and spot one person.
Yep.
How do you avoid that? That's like it wasn't like I'm filming you and you can't say no. It's like you saw me filming and you stayed sitting where you were sitting and you got hit by the frame.
But you're familiar with video editing. How would you take somebody out like that in a shot like that? Is it possible?
Look, for Photoshop, you could literally just remove them entirely.
But in video shop,
you would have to blur it, and you blur frame by frame.
So that's is it a long and tedious process?
There's 60 frames in a second.
Oh my gosh.
So
if you're not a pro, there's just going to be this weird alien creature there in the background.
There's ways to do it easier, but it's by no means like an any consumer thing. You know, everyone will have to learn how to blur people out. You'll have to use a professional software. We're going to see apps coming out that'll just blur faces, you know, facially scan it for facial recognition, and based on... You know, we're going to have apps for it. It's not possible.
There is a feature somewhere on an app where you can take the whole person's face and twist it. I've never seen anything more...
See this guy take a selfie with really messed up friends. It's like he's in an alien world. I don't know what happened.
They look so freaky. I must show it to you one time. It's just like the eyes are up here and a forehead. It's terrible, man. And the mouth at the back of the head. Anyway, somebody just sent a message on WhatsApp also saying, I'm lucky my camera breaks when I take a selfie, so I'm out. Love it.
Next up, are you ready for this?
Yes.
Jeff Bezos is heading into space. He's kind of vetting his own product, really, because he's going up in his own company, aerospace company's Blue Origin spacecraft. One of 3 human passengers, of which the second human passenger is his brother, Mark.
Yeah.
They will depart on July 20th, and the pair will be able to be joined by a third passenger, whose seat will be auctioned off by the company for the small amount of $2.8 million. Sean, imagine it was billion.
Is it million?
$2.8 million.
Okay, so maybe I can still afford it then.
That's like 40 million rand. You know how much savings daily you need for that? And it's a 15-minute ride. It's like going on a roller coaster at Rotanga Junction.
I remember Rotanga Junction. But what if something goes wrong? That's always my question. What if something goes wrong?
You paid a lot of money to get hard done by. That's for
Can you get a refund?
If something goes wrong, I mean, Jeff's gone, his brother Mark's gone, and some poor random stranger's gone.
Very rich stranger, by the way.
Very rich stranger, because you don't only have 2.8 million in your account and then give that to Jeff. You have like a couple millions there. And remember, one of the oldest Chinese astronauts is like 50. And most really exceptionally wealthy people are probably over 45, and they didn't start their career as an Air Force pilot. So you might be like anywhere between 35 and 55 with maybe little to no physical advantage, because you've spent your whole life making money, not gymming. And now you're going to go into space. I mean, it could be detrimental for you. They're going to have to do health checks. They're going to have to do fitness tests. And it's in 6 days or something. Wait, is it July or June? It's July. Okay, there's a month. But you cannot get astronaut fit in a month. So whoever this is has to be wealthy, fit.
Do you have to wear a mask?
Wouldn't want Corona getting into space.
Is the virus up there?
So he said a post on Instagram. He says, ever since I was 5 years old, I've dreamed of traveling to space. On July 20th, I will take that journey with my brother, the greatest adventure, with my best friend. I thought that was pretty sweet.
That is sweet.
At least he's taking his brother and not some, potential massive investor. But who does Jeff Bezos need as an investor, bro? He can invest in himself 10 times.
Exactly.
Still have money left over.
Exactly.
Now, my next question for you, Eon. Have you ever heard of an NFT? It's called a non-fungible token.
No.
So about 2 years ago, it started showing face, right? Especially when I was in the crypto industry a lot. You started hearing terms like NFT. You started hearing terms like literally non-fungible tokens and how they can be applied. And I don't want to get into too much detail on it because the best research is done by you, and to go check it out and do some Googling. But to put it into perspective, if you've ever played any game, whether it's a mobile game or a computer game or a Xbox game, you've probably worked with some kind of digital credit or digital currency in that game. You've probably also dealt with some sort of unique item selection, or you can equip items, you have in-game items and you have in-game currency, and those have always just been digitally available and have no tangible value. And NFTs allowed us to basically create something that cannot simply just be copied and pasted or duplicated or recreated somewhere else. It can be recreated somewhere else, but the ownership of that item can be noted. So you can own an ebook because you have an NFT credit for reading that ebook, and then you can go and sell that reading credit as real money, which is quite big for someone like an author, being able to make money off of the second sale of his book. Think about it that way. An author sells a book once, but the book goes through 10 people's hands, but he only makes money once. So if you have a way to create ownership of a digital piece of content, you allow the content creators to also earn money. But when we're putting it into the perspective of a game, you have the ability, let's say you're playing a game and you have a t-shirt, pants and shoes. You have a way to create a unique digital item that can then be taken from the game and sold on a digital currency exchange. So it creates value to in-game items. You can have currency in a game that you can take out of the game and go sell it somewhere else. You're talking about being able to create ownership of in-game virtual items and ownership of digital sources of information. And one area that we've seen this become very, very popular is artists selling digital artwork. They're able to actually claim that digital value, because if you see a really good piece of artwork online, right, the thing that you can do is go save the image and put it on your wallpaper. You would still be able to do that, but what you can't do is take your wallpaper and sell it. Your wallpaper can't get more valuable over time and sell it. You can't just have 10 of those wallpapers that exist in the world. But now we're creating non-fungible tokens, the ability to create original digital items that cannot be duplicated, can be transferred that ownership can be transferred on. It's the future. If you have ever seen a gamer, he probably has a lot of in-game currency because he's grinded hours and hours and hours into the game. And if you give him the ability to actually create an economy with those in-game items, it suddenly becomes a revenue stream. It becomes a literal financial economy. And that is something that we've never seen before. We've never touched on. It's never been possible, ever. And that is what's creating the NFT boom. And it's not the same as crypto. Bitcoin is not the same as an NFT. The way Bitcoin has only 21 million coins shares similar properties to NFTs. But NFTs are real digital items that have a set amount that can be created. Ownership can be transferred. It's incredible. It's truly incredible.
What a way to go out, Sir Kaine. But just before we go out, it's almost time to wrap it up. Well, 30 seconds, but I'm sure we can go over a bit. Windows 11 has leaked. According to an opinion piece by David Goldman on CNN Business, that was published yesterday, he says Windows 11 has leaked, but it's a bunch of BS. They say it really is on its way. There's a complete internal version of Windows 11 that is leaked online. You can download it from some sketchy websites, but they wouldn't recommend it. Imagine downloading this fake version of Windows 11. But anyway, it is there, and based on this leak, there's the new Windows 11 is mainly comprised of small visual changes. The taskbar icons are now centered in the middle of the screen, giving Windows a Mac look.
I know exactly what they mean by that.
I don't know what they mean. That's going to be in my way.
By the start button, instead of it being aligned left, it's aligned center. So you have...
but that's nice.
It is nice.
Yeah.
It's a good addition.
I thought it was going to be in the middle of your screen. I was like, how do I move it?
But let's be honest, when did Windows 10 come out? Like 5 years ago, 6 years ago?
I don't know.
6 years, they've come up with visual changes.
It sounds like Windows. Also, the start menu ditches live tiles for pinned apps. There's a new Windows logo. Okay. All the Windows icons have been redesigned. They've got more colors and slightly more 3D. The windows will have rounded corners. That I like. I'll upgrade just for the rounded corners. When you click the maximize button, you get options about how you want to lock the window in place side by side with another app, grid of 3 or a grid of 4. It's also got new wallpapers with stylized photos, light shining through windows or something more floral, okay? And then also there's a new startup jingle. And that's pretty much it, according to the leak.
So they hired one coder, one designer, and one animator to come together and build Windows 11. I know they probably didn't, but it's like such small changes. I'm expecting Windows 11, not 10.5.
It sounds like an addition to 10, just like a feature update.
They're probably like, Mac is coming out with a new operating system. Huawei's coming out with a new operating system. We can't just keep doing updates. So they did the minimum amount of work and called it Windows 11.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to like all those changes, but I expected if you had a computer from 2011, now it runs 10 times better because it processes faster and it calculates faster and it utilizes the available equipment better. But all I hear really is visual changes, which I appreciate. But
sounds
I don't think it's
just a lot of visual changes. Yeah,
they're an operating system that has done a design facelift, no operational facelift.
Yeah, you're right. It's
interesting,
but I still wouldn't mind that.
I would take it.
That menu thing in the middle.
And
I
take
just
away
pretend
the
I have a
tiles.
Mac, and then I just have to slap a little Apple on my screen and put a LED light behind it, and then I'm all good.
But have you ever used the start thing, that where you push the start button or the Windows key and all these
tiles come up?
I've never liked it.
No,
never
I
used
think
it.
you can switch back to the old Windows 7 format where it's just the basic menu popping up.
That's the best.
Yeah, I agree. You don't need
Unless
all
you have
those
a touch
tiles.
screen, but even if you did have a touchscreen, it's still not like...
Yeah, I see here on my thing also, I switched to the normal thing.
My friend,
Not
he
the
has
big tile
Windows,
thing.
He has Windows 10, but he made his Windows 10 look like Windows XP because he just likes how it looks more.
Yes, well, it was very simplified, and you know what? It actually runs better on your computer because you take away all that memory, those fancy things that you see on the screen. Takes up a lot of RAM and all that stuff. So if you simplify your machine and take away all the little animations and things, I'm sure you know that. Your system's going to be much better. It's going to look crap. It's going to work good.
And that's actually what I would want to see more in Windows 11. Look the same, work better.
Now it's going to look really good, but I mean,
run slower.
Your machine's probably going to catch fire or something after the first day. I know mine will.
Going to sound like our leaf blower.
Yeah. Yes, leaf blower man coming at you.
That's too good.
That's brilliant. Well done. That's it for Tech Thursday for today. Kaine, as always, thank you so much. We always get into the studio and we never kind of know how it's going to work out, what we're going to cover, but we always laugh.
It is. It's
true. Even if we're down before the show or we're tired like I am, we just really, you're also tired, we just laugh and that's amazing. I like that. It's really good.
That's what makes me look forward to it.
Yeah, same here. And also taking in new information.
Oh yeah, no, there's more learning here than anything.
Yeah. No, I learn every single week with this show. Yeah. And we teach each other.
Exactly.
And our listeners, of course. I want our listeners also to know that your opinion's also important. So if you have something that you want us to discuss, please get in touch. You know how to on our WhatsApp line. Send us a WhatsApp. You can send it beforehand and we'll talk about it, or during the show. That's also nice.
Or after for next week.
Or after.
Send us a message now.
Yeah. Send us a message, but thanks for the participation that we got today.
Yeah, no, that was really cool. It's
nice, the selfies and all that. Kaine, enjoy the rest of your day and week. The week's almost over.
Yeah,
the month's almost over.
And month end.
Oh yeah,
payday's coming.
Yes. But hey, no load shedding so far. Touch wood.
Yeah, no. Now you've done it. Here comes the lights.
This isn't real wood, so You'll have to leave.
I have to apologize to the audience for causing this problem.
Okay, thanks so much. Until next week, Thursday at 3, hey?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. It's always good every week. See you next week. And special shout out to the listeners, especially my brother Matthew is listening in today.
Hello, Matthew. Also, hello, Paul.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. And bye, everybody. We gotta go now.
Bye again.
Cheers, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.